Good evening and welcome, FarmsCam fans, to the second installment of the live weekly status report. I'm your host, LT Farms, and with me again tonight, producing in the back room, SCV, the SVC. Go ahead and say hi to the fans, SVC.
Yes, sir?
There he is, right on cue. In addition to tonight's cast, we have our newly found comrade from across the pond, Boris Pavlov, joining us. Boris reached out to the channel on YouTube after last week's debut, and has generously offered to lend us his viewing tank to the show free of charge. For those that don't know what a viewing tank is, it's essentially his living room that we're going to be utilizing to integrate more dynamic content into the show. Weekly highlights, in-depth interviews, submitted fan content, you name it, we can now air it, all thanks to Boris Pavlov's viewing tank. Everyone please give Boris a round of applause, as we truly are grateful to having this kind of team.
Much obliged. I help make Farn's great streamer. Video game legend proud.
Kind words indeed. For those of you just joining us, this is a weekly vlog segment documenting myself, LT Farns, as I break into the rapidly emerging video game entertainment industry, as I cultivate my brand and expand upon it. For those of you just joining us, this is a weekly vlog segment documenting myself, LT Farns, as I break into the rapidly emerging video game entertainment industry, as I cultivate my brand and expand upon it. We'll recap our weekly successes and failures for the channel, as well as shed some insight into the direction and undertakings for the weeks to come. Now, there was talk on the last episode of potentially retiring SVC and bringing in a producer with a much more calibrated skill set, but I must say SVC really did step up his game this week for the channel and brought to life a whole bouquet of interactive media content for the brand. We do now have an official website, www.ltfarms.com. Let's take a moment and just put that up on the screen for the viewers.
I read you.
Amazing. Really is. You'll notice 3 additional social media icons on our website that we made no mention of last week. We were able to launch the brand on Facebook, Instagram, as well as the HD video streaming service, Vimeo. SVC must have been soaking his circuits in G Fuel, because honestly I don't know how he managed to set all this up, but we really are thankful. In addition, he did also manage to set up an interview with the NASCAR race car champion, Jeff Earnhardt. Amazing. Let's go ahead and give another hand for producer SVC. Great job this week, man. Really impressive. Thanks again to everyone joining in with us as we cruise along on this excruciating and grueling journey to the top. So without further ado, let's begin. You'll notice the game in front of me here is Friday the 13th, the video game, developed by bite-sized indie dev team Ilphonic out of the Denver, Colorado area. We actually had a different game set for the initial lineup on this week's episode, but given the circumstance, Friday the 13th, only a mere 2 days away, the fact that it's October and that the game itself is actually celebrating a retail launch release, the team came to the consensus it would be near criminal not to feature the game, given this uncanny alignment of events. Friday the 13th is a player versus player online survival horror experience that really strives to emulate the hack and slash horror genre. 7 survivors are pitted against one bloodthirsty Jason as they try to escape, outlast, or perhaps even kill the mass murderer himself. The game was originally released this past July, and amidst a slew of server hosting issues at launch has really managed to carve out a name for itself as a defining title in the arena of player versus player gameplay. Now that's not to say the game doesn't have its woes. For the price tag, replayability and content does seem a bit light. In the last few months, it would seem the dev team has put more focus on patching glitches and releasing content pertaining to aesthetics and cosmetics, rather than trying to expand on the platform, unfortunately. With only 3 available maps and 4 or 5 different methods of winning a match over time, the format does, in my opinion, get a bit repetitive. The randomness of multiplayer lobbies can also lead to a variety of in-game experiences, some of which are victim to metagaming. This usually occurs when a group of friends are in party and one of them ends up being the Jason. Personally, I remember one particular experience where a fellow survivor blocked the entrance to a cabin bathroom, essentially rendering me a sitting duck for the Jason to come and slay me. It was quite annoying. But with all that being said, I'd still rate this game a 7 or above out of 10. As long as you have a good group of friends or lobby that is looking to play the game as intended, it is typically a pretty good time. The introduction of the completely unique style of PvP gameplay, the immersive emulated hack and slash horror movie experience, the determination to stay candid to the Friday the 13th brand, all centered around the fact that it was a bite-sized dev team that managed to put this all together and package it out. In my opinion, it's pretty impressive and definitely warrants the rating. So be sure to check it out this week and all through the month of October. Friday the 13th, the video game, will be available at all your local retailers.
What in the fuck is happening?
I would like to shift the focus back onto the channel for a bit here and just say what an amazing week it has been for us and for the brand. We really are growing into our own here. As we head full speed ahead into week 3, the response we've been seeing on the social media has been both overwhelming and heartwarming. For anyone interested in submitting content for consideration, questions, comments, feel free to DM us or comment on any of the social media platforms. You can also now email us direct at ltfarns@ltfarns.com. That is ltfarns at ltfarns.com. And SVC, you did mention we had some fan letters for tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, right on. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, let's go ahead and give the listeners a little snapshot of how the fans have been responding to our content this past week. Alright, here's one. This one is from Reddit user Chad Diamond, Bax95. Dear LT Farns, I recently came across your vlog through one of your self-promoted Reddit posts on a YouTube subreddit. After reviewing your content, I can safely say I have made the decision to permanently retire from the internet. The content you are putting together and releasing to the masses should be categorized under the lowest shit stains of content creators. Not only should you be forcefully removed from YouTube, but you and your team should be made to apologize to each person that has had to waste precious seconds from their own life viewing your material. You're an embarrassment to not only yourself, but humanity as a whole. Sincerely, Chad. Well, you can't, well, you win some, you lose some, I suppose. I know LT Farms brand isn't going to win the hearts of everyone, but, you know, that's not the business we're in. However, we're definitely not going to let a few sour apples spoil the bunch. Let's see what else we got here in terms of fan mail. Here's another one. This one was sent to our Twitter DM earlier this week from Susan H. It reads, Dear LT Farms. Looks like they misspelled my name here, but no worries. Dear LT Farms, I've not heard anything in regards to my previous inquiry on pricing for your recent letter of Chesapeake Bay retrievers.
This is not a
I saw the photos posted on your site, and they are simply gorgeous. Please get back to me as soon as possible, as my husband and I are very interested in picking up 1 or 2 of the puppies for my daughter's family. Our granddaughter's birthday is rapidly approaching at the end of the month. Thanks. From Susan. Alright, SVC, I think this entry was actually intended for another entity. I thought you were screening these before we read them on the air tonight.
Affirmative.
Alright, well, we gotta screen harder, I guess. Alright, let's do one more of the fan letters before we move on to our next segment here. Here's one from YouTube. Here's one from YouTube by a user L. Rincon. Is that Rincon? Rincon? It was actually posted only 11 hours ago today under the Farnscan Mother Russia Bleeds Volume 1 video. And it reads, Great video, smiley winky face. Now see, this is the kind of fan positivity I'm talking about. Comments like these are really the fuel that drives my team to continue on this journey to the top. I really do appreciate the love and support, Rincon, so please keep on enjoying the content. Alright, I think that's actually going to be it for fan mail this week, but please, if you have any questions or comments, or content you'd like to submit to the show for consideration, please DM us or comment on our social media, or you can send an email direct to ltfarns@ltfarns.com. That's ltfarns@ltfarns.com. Moving onwards, I would also like to mention that a few companies have begun to approach us in regards to potential sponsorship opportunities. I must admit, personally, I really have not had a chance to review any of the submitted proposals yet, since it really wasn't one of my priorities this week, and the team pretty much knows already my stance on sponsorship. It's my opinion that when sponsors are brought into the picture, a certain amount of creative control begins showing up on the bargaining table, simply because you are now dealing with not only your own brand, but those of the companies you're supposedly representing. That's not to say we'll never take on a sponsor, but fortunately for us, the channel is in a pretty financially sound state. We're currently operating at a YTD cost of around $12.35. It may increase a little in the next few months, but not much, so I did figure it would be a great idea to debut some of these proposals tonight on the show just for fun, and it would also give us an opportunity to utilize Pavlov's viewing tank, just so the fans can see how we're going to start integrating this format and concept into the show during these next few weeks. So without further ado, Boris, let's go ahead and run that clip.
Much obliged.
What the home is this?
Halo Top Ice Cream. We just creationed it. What do you think?
It's delicious, but 280 calories per pint, 20 grams of protein?
Right? Now you can eat a whole pint and feel great.
No! You're supposed to feel ashamed. Stay out of my territory, Featherface. We're gonna take these for analysis.
Wow. Honestly, I really have no words for that. Jesus. Boris, what are your thoughts on the proposal?
Content like Shakespeare in commercial form.
Uh-huh. Well, I guess that's one way of putting it. Do you agree with him, SVC?
Affirmative.
Well, he agrees with everything, I think, so... To be honest, guys, I'm going to have to say hard pass on that one. I'm still not sure what that was, even just witnessed right there, but, yeah, definitely hard pass. Jesus. And, well, folks, lastly but not least, as promised, our interview with NASCAR race car champion, Jeff Earnhardt. Since most of you aren't here in the studio with us, you weren't able to see, but Jeff has actually been sitting in with us as we game out on Friday the 13th. Jeff, most people probably ask you NASCAR-related questions, but I just don't see that resonating with our fans tonight, so any thoughts on the game so far? Do you think you'll pick it up for the retail release? A man of few words, I can admire that. Well, how about any other closing comments you'd like to leave the fans of the Farns Cam before we finish up this vlog?
Look, I'd consider myself a realist, all right? But in philosophical terms, I'm what's called a pessimist. Means I'm bad at parties. I think human consciousness was a tragic misstep in evolution. We became too self-aware. Nature created an aspect of nature separate from itself. We are creatures that should not exist by natural law. We are things that labor under the illusion of having a self, this accretion of sensory experience and feeling. Programmed with total assurance that we are each somebody, when in fact everybody's nobody. I think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Well, there you have it, Farns Cam fans, for better or for worse. Jeff Earnhardt with the final word. Thank you for joining us on another action-packed installment of the LT Farns Live Weekly Status Update. Find us out there on the interwebs and social media networks at LT Farns. Thanks again for joining us, and until next week, game on!